Hello guys, this is Jerry speaking. Welcome to LJPCBM episode number 571. Now, I was originally going to do LJP on for the New Year's Day 2021, but formally in March because unfortunately I gotta get I was pushed back recess jokes until further notice. However, today we decided to react to Purple Roads Podcast episode number 51, and tomorrow we're going to react to 52, 53, and 54. So let's react to 51, begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Too low in the volume, but anyway. Come on. Anyway. It's loading, but okay, there we go. It's gonna take some time now. There we go. You'll respond now. Stand by. We're gonna. Okay, there we go.
I'm Carrie Stinson, and my journey through life has been quite an adventure. For over 20 years, I played Barney the Dinosaur on tour and 7 seasons of the hugely popular TV show Barney and Friends. Now my journey is to bring together friends and guests from all over the entertainment world for inspiring and at times amusing behind-the-scenes conversation. I'm Carrie Stinson, and this is Purple Roads.
That was easy.
Welcome to Purple Roads. We are up in Canada this week with Splash and Boots. This is and their big friend, their fans, the Yellow and Blue crew. I know you're going to be so excited. We've got them on this week.
Wow.
We've got Tess Levitt and Nick Adams. How are you?
Hello. Good.
Hi.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having us. We're really happy.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
This is so exciting for me. I've been in this industry a long time, and I know that people that are in the family entertainment really love it, and it's very special to them. And you have such an amazing story. I'm so glad you could be on here this week.
Oh,
I'm excited to talk to you about it. We love your story too, so it's cool.
Yeah.
It's great.
yeah. It's not often you meet people who have this kind of a life, so it's really great to meet you as well.
Well,
I'm saying I would rather interview you and find out all your stuff. But
Well, thank you. Well, I think we have a lot of similar stories here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because when I got into it, I was just trying to get into the industry, and I had never planned to be into family entertainment. And it very quickly, I realized how important it is and how special it is. And it seems to be your story as well. I'd love to kind of start at the beginning with your story, where you started playing, and how it started and how it kept going.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it started. We both went to Queen's University in Kingston, and
Wow. Okay. Queen's University. Let me check it out and see. New my TV, my iPad. Excuse me, and see if Queen's University is a thing. Oh, the University of Shaw. Oh no, Canada. Oh, Kingston, Ontario. Okay, that's why. Continue on. Hello. Okay, it's not blowing up and not responding to me. I said continue on.
Kingston, Ontario.
Thank you.
Yeah.
International audience, not good.
Yes.
Yes. And what part of Canada is that?
Yeah, so that's kind of
Wow.
to the east part of Ottawa, or to east part of Ontario towards Montreal. It's all the way between Toronto and Montreal. So
Okay.
there's a
Wow.
great, it was actually Canada's first capital. So there's some.
There you
So
go.
it's a limestone city. But it's very much a college town. So that's where we both went to school. And
Wow.
we didn't know each other, but we got hired one summer through Queen's University to do children's theater. And
Wow. Much easier than expected.
just doing fairy tales in the parks, and man, did we love it. We had that was like the best summer. Before that, I was like building sheds. I grew up on a chicken farm, so I was like, I don't know.
Wow.
I was like, this was the best job ever. It was just so fun, and we met there, and yeah, we started writing. Once that summer ended, we started to write some songs together.
Just randomly, and we were in a children's theater course together, and they said, your project is to perform for kids this year. And we were like, okay, no problem.
Write a show.
Right.
I've never seen it before, and it came out in 2003, from my knowledge, and it was great. That's just me. Continue on.
A show and perform it. So we did it. We wrote a play, and I still wish that we had this footage, but it wasn't really a time when people filmed everything. But when we performed it at the Kingston Public Library, and at the end of it, we were just like, we're gonna do this forever. Like we literally we just I don't know what happened exactly.
We thought we were gonna start a children's theater company.
Yeah, that was
because we were in the theater program together. So I thought that was kind of like the goal. Is nobody ever talked about music being an option for a career, but somehow theater. But it was in that play. We wrote a couple songs, and we decided to put out a CD, just the two of us. And yeah, we printed the labels off, burned the CDs ourselves back in the day.
Yeah. We were so committed to this. Like we would go. We booked a show. We booked our first show at the Kingston Buskers Festival, and we rollerbladed to the show with Nick's guitar.
Yeah.
And we had some props. Like we thought we needed props for everything we did. So I like paper mache'd things, and I was like, we got really crafty and put together like 4 songs and just stood on the corner and sung our little hearts out for nobody. Like we were just like,
let's go, let's do this again.
Here we are.
Yeah.
But it's like what you were saying about like performing for kids or not. Nick was singing in
I was in like a metal band.
Wow.
Cover Rage Against the Machine, like kind of. I don't know.
And I always wanted to do something with kids. Like for me, the thought of performing for adults wasn't my favorite. Although I was doing a lot of musical theater stuff.
Wow.
I always wanted to do something with kids, but I didn't want to do the teacher route as much. So it kind of just did that. Yes. Minus the metal. We don't have much metal.
Now we do.
We did a little bit.
Our new album, which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was about 17 years ago now. Like it's amazing to think about. Really, to think about the beginnings of that, how we started, which was, we loved it. We
loved it right away.
That summer, we're like, let's do that all the time. And then the
Wow.
idea that you can actually, no one told us you're allowed to make a living out of this.
Right.
No, that was not the possibility. Little puppy exchange.
Puppy exchange. Everybody say bye, Rock.
Hello.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm fascinated because one thing that I found when I started with Barney, I did a lot of sing-alongs. So just Barney on the stage in front of kids, a lot like what you were doing.
Yeah.
And I found very quickly how amazing kids respond to that. They respond to the music. The way they sing and all of those things, and it's pretty special. When did you start realizing from playing in front of 5 people that didn't notice you, that all of a sudden the kids are noticing you? What was it? Was it the just the lyrics, or was it the movements, or what was?
I think it was a combo. I think right out of the gate, we kind of wrote these songs that were very engaging. We knew that. We knew instantly that every song that we sang live, anyway, was never going to be like, sit there and we'll sing to you.
Right.
No, it was going to be the opposite. Either stand up on your feet, we'll teach you the chorus real fast, or we'll teach you something that you get to participate.
Like there's always like
that one little
that engagement part of it. And so when people started, like we got a really like dedicated group at the beginning of just this little Kingston group who would follow us around to the street corners and the parks and wherever we were, the birthday parties, and they learned the songs and they were in it. And so we just like, same as you, like we learned very quickly that that's the most important part, is that engagement. And that's what we love. Like to this day, that's still what we love the most about it.
and we were quick to. We did that one album, and then we did another one right away. Like we were just kind of like, this is it. Like we declared after we graduated.
Very determined.
This is our full-time job, and I think both our parents
Our
were like,
parents were like,
"You went to
why
school
did
for
you go
what?"
to university? I'm like,
Yeah.
We definitely put the cart before the horse. We just kind of said it out loud that we were, this is our full-time job, and then we just made that happen.
But I remember having a conversation. We did say, we can either choose to do this halfway and keep being a waitress or whatever we're doing on the side, or we can just say this is it and do it and spend all of our time doing it. So
Yes, we did.
we did. We ate peanut butter sandwiches for
I learned how to leave.
Really? Peanut butter sandwiches? I'm allergic. I'm sorry, Splash Booze, but really? Really? I'm gonna barf. Continue on.
At the beginning, you have to do everything. And
yeah.
the
But
less
it's
you-
fun.
It is.
Like we like doing everything
It
too.
was really fun. So it just kind of, it's started to grow.
Well, I want to talk about that because, I mean, how many people get into this industry and don't make it? They give up with all the things that they do, and hearing you, I can obviously see the passion that you have for this, but also obviously there was a determination because you had to have been told no at some point.
Oh yeah, many times.
Yeah. And I think, I actually think that is the difference. Yeah, we were told no so many times. We're still told no all the time. But you have to really, when you get in an industry that's like this, that's involving any sort of, putting yourself out there, performing, auditioning, you have to love it. You have to love it, and you have to be in it for the right reasons.
I think that was,
And I think that's really the key part of it, especially when you're performing for kids. What are you doing it for?
it's for the kids.
It's for the kids.
So
It's
I
for
always-
kids, duh.
We always thought too early. We were doing these shows. Early on we got onto the fair circuit. I know fairs are huge in the States as well.
Yeah.
Up here there's some big fairs, and we were doing these shows 3 times a day. Often
Wow.
for 3 kids and a hot
Really,
dog.
really 3 kids in the hot dog
And-
stand
yeah.
was there.
But it was amazing. Those 3 kids, they all seemed to really like it, and then they buy a CD, and then we always thought, well, that family knows. There was a connection.
Yeah.
And then there was no TV at this point. We weren't on TV up here in Canada yet, and there was all these little moments. That family's now a fan, and some of those early fans that we have, they're still on our Facebook page, and they comment all the
They
time.
write to
The
us.
kids have moved
So
on,
cute.
but
Right.
they're still
Yeah.
involved in our career somehow. So that's really
But-
cool. Those beginnings,
Yeah,
I
and
really,
it's those moments.
really enjoyed thinking about them.
Yeah.
It was a lot of driving to no one.
Oh, Jason Dirk says I know you work for PBS. No, I do not. Actually, no. No. Hold on. Well, we're gonna keep it up after the episode's over. Continue on.
But still,
Driving to no one.
we love
But
it.
we paid attention to those 3 kids, and
Yeah.
one of us before the show had to be in a good space. And if one of us could say, it's about, just pay attention to that kid. So, because, if you're going, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're going to do a show for nobody.
For
We're
one
like,
kid.
For one kid. So,
Okay, I'll be right back. I have to go to the restroom. Stand by. I am so sorry, folks. I just came back from a bathroom break, and let's just go ahead and continue on this right now. Continue in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
sometimes literally one kid would be there. We're like, no, pay attention to that kid. That kid matters.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
And that's what matters.
It's amazing because in my early days, I did promotion for JCPenney's
Okay.
in the States.
Yeah.
And we did a mall tour, and
Wow.
the first one we did, their whole idea was that Barney was going to be in the store, and the kids would come up. We had 8,000 people show up. Filled
Wow.
the mall. They were blown away. And this happened. We did 7 performances in Texas, and that happened. The next
Yeah.
weekend we went to New York, and we had 25,000 people show up.
Wow.
And this is Barney's early days. Then we went
Wow.
to DC, and we had 50,000 people show up.
Wow.
At every mall, we had 50,000 people show up that I would run and wave and all of that.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, we go to LA and we have 25 people show up. And it's kind of what you're talking about. You get built up and built up, and we got these amazing, and we go to this store and there's no one. And the people from JCPenney are like, well, we heard you get 50,000. You know,
Wow.
And you still are so thankful for those 25. And I can hear
Wow.
in your voice that it really doesn't matter.
No, and that's like for us, man. Like you're very exposed, and you have to be in the right mental space to believe that, and then it transfers. Like, we always think like people say sometimes, oh, kids are the easiest audience, and I disagree with that. We
No way.
we can show you that because kids are the most honest audience.
They'll be like, you know what? I'm bored and I am out
Still.
of here.
At that
Like,
stand,
I have
that's
something
more
else to
exciting
do
than you
right
guys.
now. But adults, if we don't like something, we're like, ah.
That's crazy.
Hooray!
So you really those early fair days, you really had to get those chops of entertainment for us. With like, okay, and then when the crowds got bigger for us, and in theaters, I felt it, that connection. We earned that.
Yeah, we learned how to do
Every
it.
second was accounted for.
Right.
Yeah.
Even the improv stuff, all of it was just accounted for because we really wanted to like be invested in the moment of that performance, and nothing keeps you very real and honest like a 4-year-old just kind of going, "We're done." And then they went, you're like,
Man.
I know it's a free show, but come on, kid, you're killing me.
Come on.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and people don't know this, and I definitely want the American crowd to understand this. You have had several Juno Award nominations, and you've won a Juno Award, which is like the Grammys here,
Yeah.
for your work, but that probably means nothing to your audience, to those kids.
No.
Yeah.
They don't care. Not at all. Not even once.
No.
I mean, we kept getting, submitting early on our albums, and they wouldn't get nominated, but we just kept going, and eventually we got
Yeah, we
nominated.
didn't get nominated for 6 years, and then we got
Wow.
nominated for 6 years straight,
Yeah,
and then we
there.
won.
Then we won.
Wow.
So it was a journey, but yeah, you're right. Our audience doesn't care. The
No.
parents maybe care.
But our
Wow.
parents are a big part of our audience. They are part of our Yellow and Blue crew, big time. They're very invested, and we always thought that too. When we do a live show, you look at in our crowd, it's over half adults. So you'd be
Wow.
foolish not to think that they're not paying attention. They're the ones buying the tickets, So
Wow.
we always
Yeah.
definitely respected our adult components.
Man.
So when you're writing, I know recently a new album,
Mhm.
do you test them on the kids? I'm curious about that. When you're releasing stuff, is there, because obviously, the award does, to the kids part of this, it doesn't matter. Do you test this work, or do you just put it out there? And
It's a bit of both, I think. Definitely, like our albums tend to be a lot of lullabies as well, and really from the heart songs. And then there's definitely the dance songs that we put in our albums. There's definitely been songs that we've written, and we're like, oh, let's just try this one this show,
Man.
and we'll see if it
And then we're
works. And
just like,
but I think at this point, I think we kind of know.
we know when it's a good one now.
Yeah.
Kind of trial and error.
Especially during the COVID times, we weren't able to tour and test out any of the songs really this album. But that being said, I think after this many years of writing, performing, understanding, really like examining our audience and tapping into what they do like, we do have a better sense now. So
Yeah.
oftentimes we'll use each other or our friends and go, our producer or what's the vibe here? Are we is it a banger?
Like Nick will have play something for me, and I usually can tell. Like I'm like,
first few seconds, yeah.
like first 2 seconds, I either want to cry. I'm like, oh, that's good. That's a good sign. Or I'll be like, that's not good enough.
So I'm like, oh.
Man.
But like, yeah, you're
we're,
right.
we're like quite honest with
Yeah.
each other now.
No, you
You
have
know?
to be.
But
do you get
I'm
surprises
I don't know how much money.
on songs that kids really love? Like, oh, I didn't see that one as big.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a song called Antelopes Love Cantaloupes, and that was on
Wow.
our album four albums ago.
Yeah.
And it was
Wow.
down, it was like song number 11 or something. Like we didn't even,
We didn't even think about
Didn't
it.
even
We
think
thought
about
it
it.
was like okay.
Wow.
You know?
my gosh, that was ended up being one of our biggest hits we ever had, like live and on TV and stuff like that. So it was, yeah, so there's always surprises. There's some ones that you're like, okay, I think this one might resonate, but no, I think we're always constantly surprised. And that keeps you very honest and guessing too, which is good.
Wow.
Do you have it? So obviously for Barney, we have the "I Love You" song, which is, I used to have people say, you must hate that song. And I'm like, it's the most important song in my life. because-
Exactly, Carrie. People did not want to hate it. It's just I love the song, and I don't want people to hate it. Continue on.
I have seen things you wouldn't believe.
Yes.
You know, kids hugging their parents, kids telling their parents they love them. You know, obviously, and I want to talk a lot about this with you all. You know, I've seen lots of Make-A-Wish and special needs kids and things of that nature. And that song has meant so much to them. Do you have a song that is just so special that you get so excited to perform for the kids?
Yeah, it's well, there's probably a couple, but the one I'm thinking about right now is a song called "I Love You the Most," and it's the first song we ever wrote, and it's the last song we sing at every single concert.
And every show, it's the same thing. We do it and we say, find whoever brought you here and give them a hug.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I think the best moments of my entire life are during that song, because there's nothing better than looking out and watching kids hug their parents or their grandparents and have them sing
Our love
along.
component
Like,
has
it's just
become
like,
such a big part of.
oh, I just think this is the meaning of life right here. You know?
Wow.
Like, this is what matters the most. And I feel like that's the song.
Yeah.
We do that a couple, so then we kind of add some more love moments in our show. So we have a couple songs that are like that. And they are by far my favorite points in the shows. It's just that watching that connection happen.
And getting emails about parents saying, "Hey, this is a song I sing to my kid every night," and so just knowing that we're part of their, you know, we get messages sometimes, and it'll be from parents saying, "Hey, thanks for writing lyrics that I was able to express myself to my child that I wasn't able to, but through songs."
I didn't know how to say the words, and you gave me the words.
Yeah, so that's really.
So that's kind of what that's kind of a goal of ours.
We take that really
okay.
seriously.
It's incredible. I've had those experiences as well.
Yeah.
You know, people calling or writing and saying, the first time I learned about love was through that song, or I heard love. I learned about love through the "I Love You" song.
Yeah.
And it's got to be. What was it like for you when you started realizing? You know, you start singing this and you love this, and then all of a sudden you start realizing the effect you're having on people.
Well, it's interesting because it sort of was a gradual thing, and then we started doing more, like the more shows that we did that were sort of outside of the box. Like we went, we did a whole tour up in northern Labrador for kids who,
which is
really,
like in the
really,
Arctic
really
Circle.
small Arctic Circle, like really, and it's when you have sort of a small group of families who maybe haven't had the opportunity to experience a live concert before. I feel like I had moments during that tour where I was like, oh, the impact that you can have can be really bigger than I've actually given it credit for. Like the impact of like allowing people to express their love to their parents and to their kids in turn, like that. And it's in those moments, or like if we do something at Sick Kids Hospital, which is our big hospital here in Toronto for children.
Yeah.
But it's those little tiny moments when you see that it can actually be like it actually can make a really big difference. And
way bigger than the song.
It's bigger than the song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it can sort of like live and grow and impact people.
It's a slight detour, but it was really interesting. We got to know the Wiggles really well, and
good friends. I love them today.
Yeah.
I've been them a long time. I love them.
Yeah.
Anthony,
great.
the Blue Wiggle, he was talking to me, and he said, you guys, Splash Boots, he calls us the masters of love. He's like, you guys have figured that out. They never used the word love in any of their songs for 30 years until this year. Lucky and I wrote a song together that's on our new album, and it's called but we use the word love. So, and he talked about it, that he loves what we were able to tap into the love part, because they never did. He said just because there were four guys, plain and simple. He said we just didn't have that ability to kind of cross over the love train. I don't know, but it goes.
But like you did, like Barney, that was your thing, right?
That was
a big thing, and that's huge. Like that's what made Barney. So I feel like that was why Barney was such a big impact, is because of that love component and being able to just like express love, like it's I want to have a peanut butter sandwich for lunch. I love you. Like that's
again, yuck. I'm allergic.
You want it to feel, right? Is that easy? And I think that Barney, like you opened the door for that. for so many families.
It's so beautiful that you're continuing to do it. We got criticized for it, as you can imagine, and because this was 1991 when we started, and telling people you love them, they're what do you want, what do it was definitely questioned back then, and it's so funny because I've lived my life that way, telling people I love them. I grew up in a family like that, so it was very easy. When I found out what the job was and what you had to do, I was like, "What? Absolutely!" And you see the power of it, hugging people, and telling them they love you. And I just think it's so beautiful that the time we live now, everyone's a little bit more comfortable. We're still not there completely,
Oh, totally.
but I think it's just so beautiful that you understand it, you're doing it.
Yeah, I think that's when we started writing more from our TV show stuff, and even our albums. We knew we weren't in the entertainment business. We realized we were in the love business, and once we kind of that moment, we're like, oh, then it kind of helps dictate kind of everything after that.
It's like that's our ecosystem now.
Yeah.
It's about love, it's about connecting, it's about hugging and like expressing your feelings.
Yeah.
Really. And
that was a big turning point, I think, in our career.
Yeah. All of a sudden, it made it mean so much more. So even if we're singing a song and the only word is jump, it's still about love. There's something like even in those dance numbers, we're still about connecting, because how is dance connecting? And how can we? So it's like we just all of a sudden like realize that that's kind of what we want to be doing the most.
It's so beautiful, and I love that you're doing it. I got to spend a lot of time up in Canada. With the burning, and it was so special, and the audience was so receiving of that message. I just think it's amazing that you all are continuing to do that.
Well, it's we definitely noticed it. Not necessarily, but just we've toured a bit in the States, and we hope to do more for sure. But I just find like that universal message is the same everywhere you go. But even within Canada, you can definitely tell different areas in Canada where that message is well received, and we find even the smaller towns sometimes are more receptive to it than sometimes the bigger cities. And I don't know, it's a fascinating thing, but it's a universal language, so we hope to carry it on for sure.
I don't think there's any question you're going to carry it on. It's obvious that you have so many fans that love you, and I think it's wonderful that more and more people are loving and learning about you. I learned very quickly that there was a responsibility to this job.
Yeah.
There's a huge responsibility to this, and as you kind of mentioned, the authenticity is so important. Doing the hospital appearances absolutely changed my life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Once again, I was 23 years old. I go into a hospital and I see these incredible kids that are brave. They've already understand the message of love without question, and they have really spread to me. What was it like for you when you started doing, seeing these kids and the experience that you had?
Man, not gonna lie, it was tricky at the start. But it still is. But I think, you get blasted with that responsibility fast. You have some parents looking at you going, my kids needs you. I don't know what, but I need you too. So everyone's kind of like, so then you have that responsibility, that connection it's got to be like, talk about being in the moment, man. It's a powerful thing, really powerful. We've gone so many times to different hospitals in Canada, mostly in sick kids in Toronto here, but
we try to go whenever we're touring, we make an effort to do that as much as possible. But I remember like even we'll get called in to do special visits for kids who either they know us or they just could use some music in their life, and so we'll just head down to sick kids if they call, or back in normal life when we can do that. But I mean, I feel like you said, kids are what you really notice in those moments is that kids are so able to be in the moment no matter what is happening, and it sort of like puts everything in life into perspective, being a part of that experience for parents and for kids. And I don't know, it's one of my favorite things that we do, just being able to be there and provide music. I think that music is healing, and especially in those moments, it's a
Yeah, it's been a big part of our career
pretty
since
incredible.
day one,
Mhm.
and we always thought too, like, so we have a TV show up in Canada that airs, and I just remember the difference. We were doing these shows, and it was great. We were entertaining the families and stuff, and then once we got on TV, which helped a lot of our public being aware of us. When we got to the hospital, that really helped. So I remember somebody asked, like, "Oh, what's one of the best things about being on TV now?" Well, one of the best things about being TV is that our impact when we go to the hospital is that much better, because the kids are like, "Oh, it's you," not not just like, "Hey, we're two people with a guitar, we're gonna sing for you." There's now this heightened.
It's like more magical for them.
Yeah, so like when
Yeah.
Barney shows up, it's like, Barney's here, versus this is a random costume character you don't know. It's like, oh, here's Barney.
Yeah.
And the impact of that is magical, and it's big, and
Because they'd see us because they play Treehouse there a lot, so they'd see us on their TV, and then we walk in the door.
yeah, that's
So
like,
it
that's
was, like,
Enough
very
said.
special.
Enough
what
said.
a gift, So.
Yes.
So that was actually, yeah, you're right. That's probably the best part about being on television. Is that those moments.
And I want to talk about that a lot here in a second about the TV show, but I want to go down this a little bit more because, and I can already see this talking to you, the passion that you and the positivity that you all have. We're seeing your faces. You know, when you go in a hospital room, we're seeing your faces. I was in a costume, so that helped me a little bit because.
I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, well, you learn very quickly.
Yeah.
I can't be sad.
Yeah.
I can't. They didn't come to see Carrie. In my case, they came to see Barney. But in your case, they've come to see Splash Your Boots, is what they've come to see. And you can't be having a bad day. You can't be sad, and they're watching you. So you've got to watch the tears and all of those things.
Absolutely.
You almost become someone else. You really become your character. So is that something you have to kind of get yourself ready when you go in to see those kids? Splash and Boots has got to be there.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, and it is interesting also because we try really hard not to have, like, we don't have like our Splash and Boots and then our Nick and Tess. We try to, like, our on stage personality is basically like our off stage, except for, you're right, like off stage I cry like at the drop of a hat.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm a real crier.
Right.
And but yeah, I definitely had to learn to like take that part and put it somewhere else and focus. Like it's all about focusing on that moment and that kid and that little face and like what the meaning is and not the bigger picture. So it's like it's a really good mindfulness exercise to just like be present and don't think about like all of the other stuff. And then it comes out like for me, like you feel things later.
Oh yeah.
But yeah,
There's been some times for sure where
yeah.
Tess and I have locked eyes and I can feel it. Like we're both going, let's get
Like,
through this.
just keep it in.
This is it's not about us in this moment.
Yeah, that's the other thing you have to. It's not about you.
You know, so those tears will come for both of us after the fact. But in this moment, this kid and especially the parents too, man, they need some.
And you can
some
be,
light, you know?
It's a matter of being like supportive and there without jumping into it. It's like you can feel the empathy without like becoming the sad feeling. So
Yeah,
Exactly.
You know, bring us two blubbering idiots come flying into the hospital.
Like, shut up.
very helpful.
And then someone needs to comfort us. We're like, oh. We're like, well, that was useless.
Well, I had that. I've told this story before, but I was at a hospital, and at the end they said, you're going to go into a burn unit. And you're going to be the only one that can go in. Because we would go in, the voice wouldn't be there. So it would just be me. And so I go to this room, and here's this girl in a bed, badly burned. And I walk up, and once again, I can't talk. And she starts smiling, singing the I Love You song. And I'm acting it out in my mind, doing everything not to cry.
Yeah.
At the end, I blow her a kiss, and she says, Barney, I love you. And I never saw her sad.
Yeah.
Didn't cry. I mean, I was more emotional than she was.
Yeah.
Because, she just wants to see her friend.
Yeah.
Did you have can you think of some moments where a kid just really got to you?
What were you gonna say?
Well, I was going to talk about the little girl who wanted to be a sheep.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Others, though.
Well, mine was locking into. It wasn't the kid. It was the dad, and so I remember I had to like locking into like moments of like the kid was really happy, and we were singing some songs, but then this big tattooed dad.
Well,
I all of a sudden you could tell he was the strong one, just and then all of a sudden I could just see him just start crying, and I was like, "Whoop." And
Wow.
so then it like laser beam Nick. I was like, oh man, like so I just remember like thinking of how amazing this kid's energy was, so beautiful, and just but it was like the burly biker dad in the corner that got me, like that was like so just zoned it in, but yeah, no, tell that.
Well, this is an interesting story, and I think it's like I feel like it's just a nice life story because it says a lot about kids. But we go to this room, and on the front of the room it just said sheep, and the nurse who was bringing us there, she said, "This is I don't remember what her actual name was, but she said today she's a sheep. She doesn't want to be called her real name."
wow.
And she said because when she's her name, she's the kid who has cancer. And
Wow.
when she's a sheep, and she can be whatever she wants. It makes me cry just thinking about it. But it's like, in those moments, like that kid knew how to find the good and how to like keep herself in a place where she was, safe and happy. And like we walked into that room and we sang her a song about being a sheep, and she bad every time we pointed at her. She would go bah,
Yeah.
and she was like giggling. And I just thought it was just like a remarkable thing, She then identified with something that wasn't the sick kid,
Wow.
and that I don't know. There was something about that to
Well,
me
it's
that
very-
just,
it's very
like it was like
spiritual,
magical and also like emotional. Like it was so beautiful, really. Yeah.
I'm about to get emotional sitting here.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
it amazed me and continues to amaze me how smart these kids are.
Oh, yeah.
What things of that nature.
100%.
No, we can learn a lot.
Yeah.
It is amazing.
There's no question.
No
There's
question
no
asked.
question we can learn a lot. I was just thinking about this. I want to go back to you for a second, Nick. We were talking about love, and I thought that was really interesting. You were saying about the Wiggles, and I think there is an aspect of that. At least there was of men saying "I love you."
Wow.
Mm.
And why in the world was that an issue? But
Absolutely.
to think that the Wiggles, who are such a loving group and they're so positive, they make so that they never wrote songs about them because they were four guys, and obviously that just does not matter.
Yeah.
Have you seen that being important for seeing a grown man being able to tell people they love them in such a pure way,
Absolutely.
been able to affect kids?
100%, and that's something I've kind of grown into too. When we do meet and greets, Tess would be the one kind of crouch down. The kids would run up and hug her,
Sure.
and then I'd give a
Wow.
high five. And then over the years, I'm like, oh, hold on, wait a minute, like I want to hug these kids. They want to hug. So now it's like no, it's seamless like now. But I remember having the moment going, oh wait, hold on, I'm gonna hug these kids because I want to hug these kids, and these
And
kids.
they
Wow.
want to hug you. Like
Yeah.
the big thing was, it's like, what message are we sending out when it's like you aren't hugging them, and
No.
this kid's like opening their? It's like no,
Duh.
that is not what we want to show kids.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
Yeah, no. Well, that's not how you go, kids. Exactly. Continue on.
like, that is just not. So no, it's not a thing.
Yeah, and it is absolutely a zero thing.
If you
and,
want to hug, you get a hug. If you want to high five.
Yeah, we
whatever,
ask.
whatever.
For
like,
sure. Like, but,
Yeah. You
Hugs
just
and
wanna
kisses.
Stand there
and I get it. And those again going back to the Wiggles, I understand with this movement that they did. That's because their hands are always there. Look, there's a stigma that comes. Oh, like even
Ooh.
kindergarten teacher that's a male these are still like stereotypes that exist and that are I think more so being broken through, and I'm happy to be part of that. And I'm a male hugging children, and we've never had a problem. It's always been we have. In fact, we have the opposite, saying like the parents are like, thank you for, my kid loves both of you, and and then the parents will hug us too. So
And also, thanks for showing. We got a message like, thanks for showing my little boy that it's okay to express love and to like You know, that's really special.
Mhm.
That's also needed.
Yeah.
Right, and there's a purity to it. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
unfortunately, you have to be careful, but if you do it in such a proper and pure way and understanding, I think it's so important. I don't actually never told this story before. So I was actually an employee with Barney, and I had to go to a class one day with all the different people from the company.
Mm.
And the lady that was teaching it, she said, is it appropriate to hug in the business world?
Wow.
And this lady said, absolutely not. And I screamed out, absolutely yes. And the lady teaching the class was laughing because she knew what I did for a living.
Right.
And she said, well, of course, Kerry hugs people for a living. Like, this is who he is.
Yeah.
And just the other lady said, yeah, you can let him know, you can ask and things like that. And it sounds like that's what you've done.
Yeah.
You've been able to figure out the way to do this in such a proper way. But it's so important to show, especially young kids, young boys.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. But it's like, would you like a hug?
Yes.
Yeah. No, if you don't, like, of course, that's not a problem.
And we have
But it's
since we're
an
not in costume too, we do have the ability, I guess, and we make sure we get right down at their level.
So
And make
there's no tables.
make that up. Yeah, we never
They
like,
get a nice low squat.
yeah,
It's good
our
for
meet and
my
greets are
leg
very much
muscles.
like we're right
like
here.
an hour.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, I think that the genuine, asking, and if they can't speak or if they're, they let you know. They let you know
Yeah.
what comes out.
They'll
There's
tell you what
never,
they want and don't want.
yeah, it's a really, I think it's an authentic thing, and that's what kids know. Kids know authentic, and I think that's something that we don't. Well, I just think that a lot of people don't give kids enough credit sometimes, and watch their own body language. They'll let you know, And we have the same thing when, kind of sidebar, but like we really encourage parents not to use the word shy. Oftentimes it's like coming up to Santa or my kid's shy, and we got it from here. Like oftentimes parents feel not embarrassed of their kids, but they want to make excuses, and then they label them, and then the kid's like, oh, I guess I'm shy now.
Right.
So we always think that's okay.
And it's more like we're like, oh, you're being so brave.
Yeah.
Like even just standing here in front of us, you don't need to give us a high five or anything. You're just brave for being here.
Mhm.
And so it really focusing on what they are instead of like a lack thing is really those meet and greet moments, you get 2 to 3 minutes with a kid.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Sometimes less.
and they really matter though. You can really learn a lot about the kid. You can sort of like, those are really important. Like it's like you learn the kid, you figure out what they want, what will sort of give them a really good experience, and then you say goodbye.
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's all we're very focused on, like giving the families the best possible
Sorry.
experience.
I didn't mean to do that. Continue.
It's beautiful. It's just beautiful. I want to talk about the TV show because my understanding is that you put a show together, submitted it, were told no. Is this correct?
So far, yeah.
And you went out and kept touring, got a little more money, and did it again. And finally got that show on. And I thought, at the beginning you mentioned Chicken Barn.
Yeah.
Well-
This is familiar. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
like the first TV show we filmed in my parents' chicken barn with no heat
In January.
in January. So it was between
Wow.
flocks, so there was no chickens.
Literally. Yeah.
There was just an
I
empty
was
barn.
like standing on a heating pad in between.
Yeah.
And we made the whole thing ourselves. We like painted it,
Oh, yeah.
decorated it,
Wow.
wrote scripts, and then
It's really funny.
it's so
Thinking
funny
about
when
just
we
us,
watch it.
the
Oh my
the
god.
audacity that we went into Treehouse, which is the kids' station up here.
Yes.
The executives like,
We're
hey,
just
we have a
like-
show, and they're like, do
It
you?
was so fun. Like I can't. She was like, you guys have a lot of potential,
Lot of energy,
and
you
she's
know?
like, lots of energy. She's like, I think you need a production company. And we're like,
Oh.
oh.
One day,
Much.
WWE, let this happen.
So,
Oh,
yeah, we did-
Sorry about that.
Oh,
I
a
Right,
production
what's
what?
that?
Sounds like it's expensive. So, we
we
did.
did it again.
We did, and this one time we used my brother's garage,
Still
north of Toronto.
January.
Yeah,
Cool.
and he had like an industrial, illegal heater that wasn't supposed to be for that size, but
Oh my
it was
gosh.
like a jet engine. So we turned that thing on
in between takes.
in between takes, warm up the garage, shut it off because it's loud, and then we film our TV show, you know, and then
Our TV show, like
just film
big quotes, like in our own brain.
But at this point, we had no idea. They were kind of looking at us as well, not even knowing that we were doing this pilot. They brought us into a meeting. Treehouse did, and we thought, oh, they want to talk about the pilot.
Wow.
And then they didn't. They wanted to talk to us about potentially hosting the channel.
Wow.
But we were
We were like,
but what is the thing we just spent all winter doing? And they're like, what thing? Like, the thing. We emailed you. Like, oh,
The thing!
They hadn't seen
I
it.
hadn't even seen it.
And then we were, I don't know, we were pretty,
Wow.
proud of that.
Pretty, like-
We were like, no, you gotta, we said some line like, oh, we want you guys to see it first. Like, we had other
Which
pitches.
we had.
Right.
Like, Disney was knocking at the door, but we did. So, anyway,
We were pretty. Like,
they went for it, and so we became writers on that show because of the pilot, and then we got the whole concept that we came up with. We ended up shooting 100 episodes with them.
Wow.
So yeah, that story was a 10-second story, but that's over a span of like 8 years of trying, rejecting,
man, we're
getting the odd
rejected.
music video on. That was
that was a big thing. We filmed some music videos, and they put one music video on rotation, and we were like,
yeah, we were like,
we were like,
it was like one of the shortest songs we ever wrote too. It was like 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Yeah, we were on 1 minute 20 seconds. Like,
That was all
once a
we
week.
needed. That was it.
We were like, we got a foot in the door.
Yeah. So that was a fun journey of being just rejected and kind of sticking to it. Like, we're kind of like, no, I think this is the way, you know.
Oh yeah, we take rejected as like we're gonna do better. We're like, how do we change it? How do we flip this around? Like, literally, we feel rejected for about 2.5 minutes, and then we're like,
We'll see.
okay. Like,
Okay.
They're not ready for us yet.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about this because you're kind of just, well, we just kept going, but there's more to this. I mean, to go in a chicken barn, I mean, do this, thinking spending this executives, and they're just, you know, that's cute basically. And then you go do it again in a garage with a heater.
Yeah, the heater.
And still thinking, I just think it's absolutely brilliant, and it says obviously so much about the two of you.
Wow.
Why did you not stop? I mean, why did you just keep going and say, we know we've got this?
I think there was a drive there. I think we knew the TV show was going to happen. We knew it.
But I don't know why.
and-
That's a
yeah,
good
and
question. Like,
I think that's a good kind of, I don't know, lesson for life. You don't necessarily know how. You don't have to know the how
Right.
yeah.
or the why. Even it was something that was really deeply rooted in us, and the touring was going really well.
Mhm.
But we knew that there was a next level that we were, you know, we had goals, and we kind of.
We just really like get it in our heads and don't get it out. Like,
Yeah, that's
like we are, and but it's also like it's not always a matter of like we work really hard and do a lot like, and but it was also like, I don't know, we do all the things, like we had like a vision board of it. We had like, I remember on the way to our treehouse meeting, I wrote a letter to ourselves after we got the show. I was like, it's gonna happen. I was like, Nick, I'm reading you this letter. I was like, this is how it's gonna feel after we get offered the show.
Wow.
And I remember for like half a second you were like, okay, and then you were like, okay, I'm in, you know. But that's how we work. Like, one of us will be like, we're gonna, you know, and then we just sort of like, we do all the energetic things, and we just like really
Put it out there,
really
we do.
put it out there, and we really believe in. Again, it comes back to the why.
Wow.
It's like, how do we reach more children? We get a television show. It's
Wow.
not like, how do we get famous? We're like, I don't know. We just want to, that's not what we care about. We want to like have the most reach. How do we affect enough, you know, more children in their love and connection and music? So that's always kind of our drive, our incessant drive, one might say.
So
Very
after the first time when they told you no, how long did it take you to get over that before you said we're just gonna try again?
Took a bit. Are we frozen here?
Are we frozen?
Are you?
Oh,
No.
We're back.
We're back. Okay.
Technology. No, that was on our end, I think. I don't think too long. Honestly, I think we had a little bit of a. It's kind of like when we got like for the Grammys, like the Junos up here. You know, we would get the day they came out with the nominations, and we weren't nominated for so many years. And we'd have it's called the Juno So we have a Jew no party. We invite our friends over. Like,
We
no,
have some wine.
You know. And then we got back to work on a new album.
Yeah,
and,
by the end of the night, we'd be writing new songs.
Yes. So I think that was a big discovery too. I think we were early in our career. I think we were trying to copy a path that's already been done. And once we got rid of this idea, it's like, who are we doing this for? Trust yourself. And then we started writing albums, songs that just were for us and for our audience, like are believing in it in your gut. And
that's what it is.
that was the difference. And all of a sudden, man, like that,
It switched things for
everything
sure.
changed.
Wow.
Everything changed when we started just doing it for the.
We're not trying to be the Wiggles. We're not trying.
Exactly.
We're not trying to model our career off people who've already made it in some way, right? And once we let that go, it really did. It changed, and I think that's like a great life lesson right there. It's like, don't try to be something for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, like I'm sure there's been so many other TV shows that have tried to capture what Barney did. So like, oh, this is the next Barney, or like, you know, how many times you've heard, well, the next Wiggles, or
the
whatever.
next, you know, like it's always like, I'm gonna make the next Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's like, well,
Yeah,
Pee-wee's Playhouse is
exactly.
a pretty like special thing that
For
Pee-wee's Herman.
that was a thing. We don't need to remake it. But
so that mentality has helped us a lot. So to answer that question, like the rejection happens, you talk about it, you know, you have your glass of wine, and then you gotta go, all right, well, there's a reason why that didn't happen right now. It wasn't the right time. Had we got success the way we have now, perhaps, we wouldn't have had this long career. All these things are happening.
and we also we really needed to do all those shows for 3 people. Like we needed to get rejected because otherwise we wouldn't know how, like, we would have just been given that and we wouldn't have had the same impact. It's like now we know what went into it, and we became like, if we were offered that first TV show, it probably would have been real bad.
Real bad.
Because we didn't know, like we didn't know, like even now our show would be way different than the one we've already made. You know, we're always evolving as humans and in our lives, so we're just not ready. It doesn't happen, and it will happen when you're ready. Like everything is like that. I feel so. You just have to believe that and keep going.
It's just beautiful. I love your energy, and I love this kind of nonstop. Like I'm just not stopping. We're just it happens. I absolutely love it. Tess, what has been your favorite moment being part of Splash and Boots?
Oh, that is a good question. So we started giving out something called the Big Heart Award once we discovered the sort of like potential for impacting kids in a different way. We came up with this when we met a boy who had been, his mom had emailed and she said, you know, my kid's been bullied a lot, and can you give him a pre-show meet and greet, or is there anything you can do? So we met him and we had do I have a heart pillow? I don't think I do. We had like a plushy heart pillow made, a Splash and Boots pillow, and gave it to him, and I said, you know, whenever, if you're feeling scared or lonely, this pillow will be there for you, and we just want you to know that we always love you and we live in your heart. And so anyhow, this kid was 6 or 7, and he left, and then he came back to a show, and it was quite a big show. And you know, in the show, I come out in the audience with a microphone and talk to kids, and this little guy puts his hand up, Nicholas, and I went over and he stood up and he had an envelope, and he said I had a birthday last week.
Wow.
And I want as many people as possible to get a heart pillow so that kids don't feel alone. So instead of birthday presents, I asked everyone to bring money so that I could buy heart pillows. And he said, and Boots, here's my money. And he had written on the front, like, Nicholas and his heart pillow, and he gave us, like, I don't know how much money. He got like $65 or something.
Wow.
And he had collected that from his birthday, and I think that moment for me was, it was so beautiful that he had seen, like, he had felt the impact of somebody loving him and like of that support feeling.
Yeah.
He wanted other kids to have that, and I was like, that's what we want kids to have. Like, that is what he just put it out there. You know, that is how we want kids to feel. And so we started
Nicholas is one lucky kid. Continue on.
giving out a Big Heart Award at every show.
So we had to get the hearts made too.
Yes, we need 1,000 hearts.
Yes.
We have like,
He had the only one at that point.
yeah, he did. So we got a whole bunch of hearts made, and we started giving out Big Heart Awards. And those moments, like that was the first one, and then we had these beautiful moments of kids who either they were having a hard time and needed some support, or like the other thing is it's like a kid who's had a hard time, but they've flipped it and they've done really good things for out of their hardships. They've come out on top and been giving people things. And so anyhow, so we give out a lot of Big Heart Awards, and it's always my favorite
Yeah,
part.
it's pretty awesome.
Wow.
It's just amazing. Nick, for you, is there a moment?
Oh man,
Not to put you on the spot.
no, it's there is so many, and that's, I know it's cliche, but I think the idea that it's been special to just with this job and this opportunity, it's been these connections to families that might not get to see live entertainment.
Wow.
In the communities. We do a lot of work up north in Canada, and some of those moments I'll never, like taking 5 planes to get to a small hamlet where there's only 75 people in the village, and then we get to perform there. Like this is, I mean, it's surreal for me going, where are we?
Still.
There's no trees anymore. We're above the Arctic, like the tree line, and we're in this remote indigenous community, and we get to do and have these connections with these kids up there. It is like Santa Claus arriving. They're like,
Still.
they're so excited. The community is so excited. So I don't know. There's been tons of moments. There's been tons of professional moments too. Like our album that we did before this latest one, I got to work with one of my musical icons here in Canada that I never thought was even possible to email him. He ended up producing and co-writing the whole album with us. And I'm like, how did that happen? Like, just these kind of moments like that, you're like, wow. Like, I'm thinking about like teenage Nick is just losing his mind right now. Because I know like adult Nick is like freaking out, but now I gotta be professional about it. But it's like, wow, how did these moments happen? Like, so there's been so many. But I mean, truthfully, the ones that the connection with the children have always been the greatest single moments. But there's been tons of like highlights here and there for sure.
Wow.
Obviously, you guys are known everywhere. It's not just Canada, but Canada is obviously very important to you all. Can you talk a little bit about what Canada means to you?
Well, yeah, I mean, for us, like we've done shows from coast to coast to coast and in the Arctic, and man, I do feel that like, Canada has a very loyal, they're very supportive, if they know how, like for the East Coast, say, there's a province called Newfoundland, and they're an island, and when we went there for the first time, man, it felt like we were just a giant hug. They're like, thank you for coming, you're here, and then so we always sell the most merch there, we always sell like everything there, so we get a lot of support, and it's a huge country. It's hard to tour this country because there's not a lot of people, and that's the difference. Like, man, you can go one show and then you're driving like 12 hours before the next like proper theater even exists. So I think people
We've done lots
understand
of
that.
those late night drives where you're like,
man, so I think
I'm
people,
sure you've done it too.
people understand how this is not like there's not the millions of people. It's so there's an appreciation, and we made that decision. Like, we were doing shows, we did shows in Australia and the Middle East and some Europe shows in the States, and I think it was that moment where like, you know what, why don't we'll let that stuff come if we go, bigger shows internationally, but let's focus on Canada, because right now that's, I'd rather like have a focus, and that it's supposed to just try to do everything all at once. The TV show helped for sure, but it's been a very big supportive, even from our humble beginnings in Kingston. Like Kingston still kind of calls us their own, like they push stuff, like if awards happen, the Kingston paper will still, promote that. Going, Splashy Woods did something, so it's special. It is. I mean, we appreciate it a lot too.
It's amazing. Tell me a little bit about the new album.
Well, happened during COVID.
Yeah.
We started
that was interesting.
It was kind of like quarter way done, but this album was a different one for us. We kind of heavily relied on special guests. So the whole album mostly is either duets or co-writes with other kind of artists.
Adult artists. We did one with the Wiggles and one with Sharon and Bram.
Sharon and Bram as well, and but after everything else is it's all adult artists that have never done kids songs.
Which was so fun.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it was just so different because we had these people bringing in their own ideas, bringing in their own styles, and so it made like I feel like it just made the album so diverse and so interesting, and it has like some good adult feels to it. You know, you could almost listen to it. Like you could almost. Do you think you could press play? Like imagine you were at a party, like a cocktail party.
Oh, yeah,
Did you
game on.
have it on in the background,
Absolutely.
and like no one would know that it was a kid's album.
It's I think it's
for sure.
Oh no, absolutely. I think that's kind of the we've always approached our albums like this won't this won't sound we just wanted to hire real musicians doing real things, writing good music. It just so happens to be focused for kids. And that's something that we kind of always kind of go for. But this album in particular I think really has that appeal that because there's these adult artists like there's real country songs. Alice Cooper is one of the guests as well. So there's
Alice Cooper! Oh my god! Yay! But anyway, let's continue on. Love musicians like heavy metal. But anyway, continue on.
Yeah.
So
and we fly it in, right? It's like the last track. Every single one of our albums ends with like a nice lullaby, and it was so funny because we were putting in the order of songs, and it was literally due in like 1 hour to get the order in. And I was sitting there eating dinner, and all of a sudden I was like, we can't. I was like, Alice Cooper needs to be last. I was like, of course.
Wow.
Emailing Nick and Chris.
We're going back and forth.
And I was like, guys, it needs to be like a surprise. It's like we have a lullaby, and then like, bam, here's Alice Cooper.
Randomly shows up.
Yeah, so we made that change last.
I cannot wait. I have not heard the song, but I will be going to hear that song as quick as possible. I can't believe Alice Cooper on a kid's song.
It was so random.
Yeah, I'm very looking forward to Alice Cooper's Kids song. Oh, and speaking of which, he had a great career. Let me tell you that he did No More Mr. Nice Guy covered by Megadeth and I did saw Megadeth Behind the Music on there, which is an interview by Dave Mustaine, Alice Cooper on Megadeth Behind the Music, which I got a DVD by the way, which I won't talk about in the video to play on because of copyright. And of course, they have a huge, mind-blowing career because it was a huge thing. And now you're telling me Flash and Boots are coming out with a kids song? Okay. Very happy enough. Continue on.
Our manager, Bob Ezrin, who has produced all of Alice's records, most of them.
Wow.
Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of Pink Floyd's The Wall because number one, I never heard of I seen Money by Pink Floyd and that was it. And basically, I love Slash. Who else? Doug McCobbin, Ziggy Marley, late Scott Warren, and Matt Storm's version better than the Pink Floyd version. Continue on.
Bob Ezrin has done it, and he was working with us. He was in Arizona with Alice Cooper. And we get a call saying, "Hey, I'm with Alice Cooper right now. Why don't you write a song right now, and I'll pitch it to him." And I'm like, "No problem, Bob. When do you need the song by?" He's like, "Today." I was like, "Today? You want Alice Cooper song today? Great." And so
so this guy goes into like double time.
Double time was like, all right. So.
And I'm always so calm in these moments because I trust your songwriting like more than anything. Like I'm just like I know he's gonna do it. Like there's nothing in me that ever doubts that Nick will write a hit song.
Yeah.
Because you do. And Under Pressure is like
Luckily
Under Pressure is Queen's song. Tires, not Alice Cooper. Continue on.
A friend that was a huge Alice Cooper fan, and he was actually coming in, so I called him, and he gave me an idea of one of the songs that Alice had written in the 70s, and I was like, oh, so we based it on that song, and then Alice said yes, and then within a day later, we had Alice's vocals on the track because I had to get a producer,
so fast.
And he was working double time through the night to get the song ready because the whole song had to be written, and all the bed tracks had to be ready. Because Alice is going to be in the studio tomorrow, and we'll be singing at 3 p.m. if this is going to work. We're like, ah! on the track, on the third verse, and it's so cool. So one of those
Yeah,
moments
we got
of
to
like,
sing along with him.
Man.
But like not with him, but with his voice.
Right. But how cool is that?
Wow.
it was the coolest. It was
Yeah.
very,
Jeez.
Yeah.
it was very cool.
I haven't seen him
Speaking
before
of
this.
that, talking about music, can I get you to sing something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
What
wanna,
do you want to hear?
well, do you want to do something from New Album?
Sure.
Right. Let's grab the-
So I'm hearing my brother in the background coughing.
Just have the guitar right here.
How perfect is that?
Right.
Surprise, surprise.
You and I?
Oh yeah, we'll do this one. This is one we from our new album,
Do,
but it's just a duet, just the two of us.
yeah. Alice Cooper's not on this track.
Imagine when then all of a sudden Alice pops up behind the couch.
Wow.
Here we go.
You and People call you a mini me. You're growing up in front of me. You're so beautiful, you make me want to cry. And our smiles are so similar, you're the salt to my vinegar. You're so beautiful, you make me want to cry.
Wow.
And you've got a freckle on your chin, just like me, my little twin. You're so beautiful, you make me want to cry.
I've never seen this before, but that's just me.
You're so beautiful, you make me want to cry.
So beautiful. I can't stop smiling. I can't stop smiling this whole interview, having you two on this conversation. I just love what you all do, and I just think it's so important what you do, and
Well, thank you
for
very
so
much.
many reasons. What you're doing for the kids, but there's a lot of people that watch this show that want to do what you do, want to do what I do,
Yeah.
and know when all those things stop them. And you're such a great example of just keeping the dream alive, whatever your dream may be. And I just think it's gorgeous.
Well, it's been awesome talking to you, and a
Yeah.
real honor too. So
Yeah, thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for
And thanks
doing
for
what
what
you
you
do.
do.
I have done.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and thank you so
Opened
much.
up the love game for all of us. Want to promote the love.
Well, it's so important. It just makes me so happy to think that you're keeping it going.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm gonna have to go listen to Alice Cooper here in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heart Parade.
Heart Parade.
It's the title track of the new album, so check that one out for sure.
Yeah.
And real quick before we finish up here, so where is the Yellow and Blue crew gonna see next? What's next for you guys?
That's a great question. We don't know.
We don't know. We have a lot of virtual shows booked for
Yep.
the next, we have 3 on New Year's Eve. The good thing about
Wow, coming up on tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Continue on.
gift, if we could possibly say that, is that we can do 3 shows on New Year's Eve.
It's our busiest New
and-
Year's Eve ever.
And we're
And they're all
not,
pre-recorded.
we're not actually doing anything on New Year's Eve.
But on our Facebook page, honestly, that's where we do go live. We do pop-up
we do lots
concerts,
of live
and we do
stuff.
so until we're able to tour again, that's where we'll be. Mostly going live on our Facebook page.
And we will put all of those links on the notes here on this show, and so that they can get that out to everyone.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
This
you
was
for
a
being
real
on here.
pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for watching Purple Roads. This has been so much fun. Remember to keep your eyes, ears, and your heart open, and you'll find your Purple Road. We'll see you next week.
So that was Purple Roads, episode 51. What do I think about this episode? It was amazing. Even though Splash Boats, I learned my lesson to see Splash Boats in the ways of listening to their songs, and I'm like, God, this is gonna be amazing. I'm Alice Cooper to be on the Splash and Booze album. I'm like, freaking out! Anyways, guys, that wraps up with Elton Reacts episode number 571. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one, which is going to be Purple Roads Podcast, episode 552, excuse me, on Boo, aka Mary Gibbs, on Monsters Incorporated. Till next time, so Jerry's goodbye, peace out, baby. We got World Reacts, guys, very soon. Now, man, excuse me, I gotta get ready to continue watching football for 4 games. For you, Billy. Till then, Jump Saint out. See ya.
Given unto me this life I'll never take for granted, and given all the time I failed to really understand it, I never sought to meet the maker of reality, the one who gave the life that which is always happening, but I tried all the time. Why was I the one to see things as I do under the moonlight and the sun? Perception is the question, and the giver holds